Would you like to get better at building assets and managing your investments? In this video, I'm going to share with you what I've learned over the past 40 years or so of investing that I hope will help you in becoming a better leader of managing your money and building assets. Hi, I'm Camille Gaines here on this channel and on my website, retirecertain.com. I share what we learned after stumbling into early retirement and going from financial uncertainty to financial independence, using both traditional investments like stocks and bonds, as well as alternative investments and strategies that you often don't hear about in more traditional financial planning. Also, if you like this information, subscribe to my channel and click that little bell so you'll know when I put out new videos. The first thing I want to share is simply to become CEO of your wealth. When we have a job, we have a title, right? Maybe we're VP or CEO or marketing director or whatever it is, and we have that title and it seems to make so much sense. But for some reason, when it comes to our investments, nobody's really designated as the CEO of our investments, the person that's leading our money. Now, often people say, well, I have a financial advisor that does that for me. I see having a financial advisor as someone here that the CEO hires, right, to manage their money for them. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I am an accredited financial counselor. I've hired financial advisors in the past, but I feel like in looking at that, I was the CEO and I hired financial advisors based on the criteria that was important to me that I wanted, and that included a lot of different things. I've done some other videos on that, but the point I really want to make here is your financial advisor is not the CEO of your wealth. You're the CEO of your wealth, because if something happens and you hire the wrong person to manage your money or it doesn't work out, you're the person that will suffer, not your financial advisor. So from a CEO level, you're able to hire a financial advisor for the right reasons. Not only that, you're able to monitor the performance of your financial advisor. You're able to meet with your financial advisor and have good conversations with him or her and be in a place of leadership. So that's the very first tip I want to share with you. The very next thing I want to share with you on how to build assets and manage wealth is simply to schedule time in your planner to do the things that you need to do to lead your money. The thing that happens is tracking our money, tracking our investments, taking care of our money is an important task, but it's not an urgent task. And we all know that the urgent tasks get done, right? But the important things like growing our money, managing our money, being CEO of our money don't happen because we're busy with those urgent things that have to take place right away. So the tasks that require you to invest your money, to manage your money, oversee your money, manage your wealth, make a list of them. But here's a little tip to get them done. Write out about how long it takes you to do those tasks. For example, if it's seeing how much money you spent last month so that you can estimate about how much income you need in retirement, for example, right? Which tells you how much money you need for retirement, which comes from, how much you're saving, right? So it all a lot of it goes back to how much you're spending every month. So that is, as an example, say that it takes you an hour to see how much you spent last month. Schedule an hour in your planner to make that happen. All right. So when you know about how long it takes you to do tasks, it can really reduce the stress around it. Whereas when it's running through your mind about the 5 things you need to do this month to take care of your money, it feels like a lot. But when you write down how long each of them takes and you total it up, you'll see that you have time to do it, and you can even put it in your planner. The third thing I want to share with you is to know your numbers intimately. All right? We know all these other numbers in our lives, right? We know all these different things, but so often we really don't know exactly how much our net worth is. We don't know exactly how much our expenses are. We don't know exactly how much our cash flow is. So get to know your numbers intimately. This tracks back to the last tip I gave you, where it can feel like you don't have time to do this. But if you just jot down about how long it takes you to do these tasks, and it's not very long, and you schedule them on your calendar at a regular time, then they're much, much more likely to happen. The next tip is to accept ultimate responsibility for your money. This is sort of like being the CEO of your money. The CEO sort of has ultimate responsibility. But I feel like a lot of the times we don't feel like we're the ones that have ultimate responsibility for our money, especially if we work with a financial advisor, as I touched on earlier. It can feel like they have responsibility for our money. If we have a spouse that manages our investments, it can feel like they have responsibility for our money. I think a lot of this goes back to our childhood home and who handled the money and who was ultimately responsible for the money in our childhood home, because we repeat those patterns. And if we feel like we're not the ones responsible, we can automatically just, sort of let things go, right? So know that ultimately you're responsible for your own money. Because if something happens, then you're the person that will be, out and not have enough money to live how you want, right? The very next tip is simply to think independently. This is sort of like a CEO, right? If a CEO didn't think independently, the company would go broke, right? Because they would just be doing what everyone else is doing. But when you think independently, you're not necessarily just following the herd. And I think that's what happens a lot with individual investors. I've talked about this in other videos, but what happens is it feels safer to do what everyone else is doing. We have that in our minds from really the cave dwelling days when we needed that herd. We needed others to be safe and be protected. And we naturally want to do what everyone else is doing. Yet often we can look and see what everyone else is doing doesn't really make a lot of sense. This tends to happen both at the tops of market cycles when stocks get very, very expensive, and near the bottom of market cycles when stocks, for example, get very, very expensive. It doesn't just happen with stocks, but I think that's the most common place we see it. We also see this quite often with real estate, where everyone is buying at the top. There's almost a frenzy, yet no one wants to buy near the bottom because either everyone has remembered the pain, they've gone through the pain, or they've seen everyone else go through the pain, or they've already had their money invested because they bought near the top. So sometimes it's really important to think differently. The next tip I want to share with you is to delegate. Okay, in this example, I don't necessarily mean to delegate your wealth management, although you may want to do that. You may want to hire a financial advisor or a wealth manager for the right reasons with you as CEO, right? As we've already talked about in this video. But another thing you can do is delegate tasks such as errands or laundry or cleaning the house or mowing the lawn, things that you can easily pay someone else to do. And you can spend that time that you freed up on your investments as CEO of your wealth. I know that often we feel like we don't have time to take care of those things. But if we just free up a couple of hours, we can slip those tasks into our calendar, our schedule, like I was talking about earlier, because we freed up that time. We've taken away lower level tasks. I know that, and I think that we all like to sort of avoid the things that are a little bit scary to us. And I know investing feels scary. I feel often, it often feels scary to me. But I think that when we are taking action and we're being the leaders of our wealth, we have a deliberate plan, we're knowledgeable, we know what we're doing, that increases our confidence and that decreases that feeling of being afraid and avoiding doing the things that we need to do in order to take care of our money. Another thing that can be done under the delegation suggestion is to hire the professionals that we need to help us, whether that is a CPA, an attorney, maybe an estate attorney, or maybe even a financial advisor or a financial planner, if that's what we need to do. The next tip is to manage your emotions around money. Fear and greed are what drive the markets. This isn't woo-woo, it's a known fact that fear and greed are what drives markets. That tells us that our emotions are an important factor in investing. It's become so well known that this topic is now called behavioral finance in financial lingo, and it's part of reality. We are affected, our investing is affected. Our wealth accumulation and wealth management is affected by our emotions around investing. A lot of people carry guilt, fear, shame, other negative feelings, unworthiness, undeservingness around money. And it usually stems from childhood or past mistakes around money. If you found this information helpful, make sure to watch this video next. Thanks for watching.